Hey everyone, it's Alex Niffin. I'm here in Fairfield Beach with Century 21 All Points, and it is the start of August, which means it's the time to bring out the July 2026 Fairfield County Builders Report. This report looks at new construction listings and sales across the county. We throw out Greenwich because Greenwich behaves as its own market. I may start doing a report just for Greenwich, but this is the rest of Fairfield County. And as a reminder, because we don't produce all that much, we're looking at 12-month sums. Every month that you look at on a chart should be read as the 12 months leading up to or finishing through that month. All right, high level information on what we've got. We are still building, give or take, an average home that's just over $2 million in sale price. It's a little over 4,000 square feet. We're getting just a smidge over $450 a square foot on our sales end of it. Although what we've been bringing to market lately has been a little over 4,200, so our inventory is starting to get a little bigger in size. We'll see if the consumers react to it positively. Speaking of consumers, we've been producing, give or take, the same number of homes leading up to the end of July this year that we did at the end of July last year. Why is that important? Well, we peaked. We actually were producing more over the 12-month period that ended in October of 2025. So we're actually seeing a month-over-month decrease that has been pretty steady ever since. Meanwhile, our sales are up 12%. Those two lines are going to converge at some point, and we're going to find ourselves in a real inventory crunch that mirrors the rest of the market, quite frankly. And the other exciting thing, I can't wait to show you this, our data has been updated from a Google workbook now to an SQL database with a business intelligence front end. Without further ado, I can't wait to show it to you. Here it is. So, new construction builds by beds. This is what we have been bringing to market. And you can see its makeup in terms of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 or more beds. We peaked back in October of 2025. During those 12 months leading up to it, 265 brought to market. We are all the way back down to 230 now. And that's basically the same spot that we were in last July. Last July, we were 239. So give or take. From there, though, if we come down and take a look, this is what's selling, and what's been selling has been on a steady increase, right? So if I look at July of last year, for example, 193, we're up 12% at 211. At some point, those two lines are going to meet, right? Right now, for the last 12 months, we've produced 230 and we've managed to sell 211 of them. That's getting dangerously close. We'll really run into a crunch when they both meet. After that, looking at the makeup, our makeup has almost always been very 4-bedroom colonial heavy. Not a big surprise. It's about 40% of what we produce. But I want you to yet again notice that these 2-bedroom homes, these are mostly 55 and older community homes. We've been producing fewer and fewer of them every month. We had a real glut about a year ago. And if we go take a look at what's selling, you can see that what's selling, consumer demand, we prime that pump, and consumer demand is still steady. We need to start producing more of these smaller homes. This is what consumers are looking for. If we take a look, it's still about 35% demand. So what we're producing versus what we're selling in 4-bedroom homes is about right. Going from here, let's swing over to average dollar per square foot by beds. So looking at this, you can see the white is our average across the board. This is what I was quoting earlier. We're just over $400 a square foot in mean. And you can see that we've had a pretty good jump in 3 bedrooms. Don't read too much into the giant increase in the price per square foot of 3 bedrooms. I don't actually think 3 bedrooms are more valuable than 4 bedrooms on a per square foot basis. Really what this is a symbol of very, very, very low inventory. So few 3 bedrooms have sold over the last year that 1 or 2 sales, maybe near water, are skewing the numbers. It's fascinating to see that the 6 bedrooms, however, have been seeing a pretty steady decline over several months now. The 6-bedroom home is not considered as desirable as it was. And we're seeing that in the price per square foot. The last thing I will say is right now, the biggest jump out here is the 4-bedroom to 5-bedroom jump, right? So we go from about 413 a square foot all the way up to 566. If you can squeeze in that 5th bedroom, you're going to see more demand and theoretically a higher price because of it. I love this chart. I look at this chart quite a bit because it answers a simple question. Are we delivering the product to the consumer that they're looking for? The two different lines of the same color, the brighter one is what's selling, the darker one is what we're bringing to market. So they shouldn't be any different. 4 bedrooms, we know this recipe. Boy, do we know it. Look at how there's almost no variation. What we bring to market is exactly what sells. You can see up here, however, we're bringing very large, very, very large 7-bedroom homes to market. On average, over the last 12 months, our 7-bedroom homes have been about 10,000 square feet. They're not all selling. The ones that are selling, on average, are only 8,800 square feet. So the consumer is telling us, hey, I want big, I need a 7-bedroom, I don't want that much. We were seeing a similar thing with the 6 bedrooms a little while ago, actually in the opposite direction. We were bringing to market smaller homes, and the consumer wanted a larger 6-bedroom. That has kind of adjusted itself, and it's good to see those two lines back together again. So I've been watching this chart as well for a while. This is the breakdown across the county on what we're getting in terms of price. So this helps set expectations. When we bring a home to market, about 45% of the time we're going to sell it for under ask. About 22% of the time we're selling it at ask, and about 32% of the time we're selling it for over ask. These numbers are different when you look at them in terms of original list price versus current list price when it sells. This is looking just at current list price at time of sale. Here you go. This is another fun one to look at. So this lets you know on average what kind of new construction listing are we bringing to market. The completed, the big green section, that's our sort of our bread and butter. How many people actually list to be built? Actually, quite a few. We have, over the last 12 months, we've got 44 to be built. So these ones were listed without ever breaking ground. In red, under construction, we're somewhere in the middle. The torn down and rebuilds, I think, are fascinating. You'll see that we used to do a lot more of them. We were doing about 47 over a 12-month period, and we're down from 47 down to 15, so we're barely doing one a month. So this chart helps explain that shrinking of the torn down and rebuilds. You can see this is the success rate for a listing in each phase of build. So back in July of 2024, if you listed something that was still just dirt in the ground, no shovel, 30% of the time you would successfully sell it. The other 70% of the time it would expire or get canceled. That has improved significantly. Now, about 46% of the time, you will successfully sell that to be built. The torn down and rebuilds, we were selling so many of them, and we were doing so many of them because we were selling them at such a high success rate. 77% of the time, we were able to sell those. And the reason for that is we were predominantly selling these tear down and rebuilds in established neighborhoods that we already knew the market demand for. But as inventory got tighter and tighter, we started buying homes to tear down and rebuild in neighborhoods that were less proven. And what we learned from it is don't do that. So we've become more selective, which is why we're only doing 15 over the last 12 months. But in becoming more selective, you can see that the success rate of those listings has now bumped way back up. We're over 70% again. So we're back, baby. Everything else has been, they all kind of came together right around 50%, and they're all still sort of give or take around 50%. So that's the report for this month. As I said, there's good evidence that we have certain things down pat, like that 4-bedroom home, man. We've been rock solid on it forever. There's still some learning to be done. I think more of these new construction 2-bedroom homes needs to happen. There's demand for it somewhere. And just in general, we can't be flat in terms of our production level when sales are up 12%. We've got to start reacting to that. Otherwise, there's going to be some real pain at some point. The good news is if you're out shopping for lots or teardowns to buy right now, it's a rosy outlook for you moving forward. I think consumers are letting us know they're still looking for new construction in our county. So that's everything for this month. If you have any questions, again, with this new BI system we've got going, I can be a lot more flexible and pinpoint with any of the requests you have for data. So feel free to reach out. I would love to work with you. Let's grab a coffee and see how we can do it.